because it's a reflection of like the students that encompass that space. And I mean that in like the patterns, the colors.
Class I was uncomfortable in, but currently is my CS class, because that's so hard, and there are kids who like get it, and like I don't feel like I really get it, so I feel uncomfortable regarding that. And plus too, there are like very few like black people in like my class, so I'm just like, oh man, I'm one of the few, and I feel like I'm one of the worst. When I don't know I'm one of the worst, but I just feel like I'm one of the worst because I don't feel comfortable in CS. So like there's that. And also a big part of that, like when like I feel like, oh, I'm so bad at CS, like the fact that plays into it is me being like a black male, because a lot of times, like in high school definitely, like they would assume like, oh, you're an athlete, you're just here because you're black, you don't know you don't know your shit actually. So I feel like, oh shit, I don't get this. I'm not like another black guy who's just here for diversity or some shit like that.
I would say that in the math department, I am one of very few female students. As a senior, I am the only Latina in my graduating class. And it is very, very white and male-dominated space. So throughout my entire 4 years here taking math classes has always been very intimidating, even though I have made it this far and have had pretty decent grades in my major. It has really made me feel a sense of like not being in place in that major, whereas like in my Italian major, which is where my advisor is like super helpful, and they've always been completely helpful for every single like assignment and subject class that I take. It's just very easily relevant how like it becomes very apparent how they're very different spaces. The Italian department is much more females taking classes, a lot more discussion based, and even though like my Italian isn't perfect, I feel much more comfortable like sharing in that major, whereas like when I'm in my math class, when I'm one of 2 female students in my classes, I feel much more intimidated, especially because I do feel lost and confused most of the time, and I don't want to ask a question and look like the stupid one.
And in a space that I feel comfortable is, I would say the AFC, just because you walk in there seeing people who look like you, and it's a very relaxed environment. It's not very academic. You enter the building knowing that it's time to relax and not really have a discussion about a specific academic subject.
I was in a political science course, which was compared to politics, and in the classroom it was very male dominated, and basically I was the only person of color other than 2 other people, and in that setting I did feel I felt a difference than the classrooms that I'm in now, where it's very open. And like my Women in the Sacred class, I have a professor who's very enthusiastic about getting everybody to participate, and she specifically says that she encourages girls to speak up more.
I'm a poli-sci major, and so a lot of my smaller discussion classes are majority white, and I just felt at times like really silenced. Also, I think that was emphasized with the fact that I was an Asian female, and so like I just never really felt comfortable talking in class.
I think just affects me because I don't like the people who tend to go there. It tends to be very like obviously white, very obviously filled with athletes. That space makes me uncomfortable, which is why I tend to like Proctor, because a lot more people of color is there, and it's also a lot more homey feeling.
I feel kind of underrepresented in Middlebury just because like I don't find a lot of people who are half Japanese, so I don't know if that's kind of what I identify with, but I think there are places I feel semi-uncomfortable, and those are kind of sometimes in the classroom, sometimes around people who are like full Japanese, or around my like friends who are white.
I was in Axon watching a movie with a lot of my friends, just a small group, and I really felt comfortable there because it was just a very intimate setting, a very quiet space, not so crowded. So I really felt really comfortable in that Axon building that night. Fan of Ross Dining Hall, particularly because in middle school and kind of into high school I went to a school where it was a big cafeteria setting where you have different cliques. So as a middle schooler, I really struggled infiltrating those groups. So I would often get what I had to eat and went to an empty hall and sat by myself and ate for a good 2.5 years. And that has been a very painful memory when I'm growing up, and it still is.
My experiences with certain types of classrooms make me feel more comfortable than others. Like, for example, in my English, one of my English classes this semester, it's like a kind of a seminar, and I feel very comfortable speaking up because I think it's because there's a lot of women in the room. In some classes, I do feel like having like male lab partners, like in some of my chemistry classes, I feel like they kind of talk over me. I've had experiences where when working with women, there's a lot more communication between us, but when I'm like paired with a male student or male identifying student, they tend to like just kind of be like, oh yeah, don't worry about it, like I'll do this, and like not really let me have any input, or like just kind of keep moving along instead of trying to have a conversation about what we're doing. So right now I'm taking physics, so when I go up on the 5th floor, it's pretty male dominated on the 5th floor because that's like the physics hall, and most of the physics professors are men, and most of the physics majors, a lot of physics majors are male students, so it's just like kind of intimidating.
Proctor is just definitely feels a lot more comfortable to me than Russ. Could be because of the color scheme and the ceilings being really low. It's also interesting because Atwater sometimes feels uncomfortable because of the circular tables, which I know is supposed to bring people together, but sometimes it can be intimidating.